Hey everyone, my name is Jose, aka Joe Engineer. Welcome back to my channel. And I was doing some thinking and I realized that after all these YouTube videos and blog posts that I've never really taken the time to give everyone a quick overview of the entire car. You know, I've spent so much time focusing on nuts and bolts type of detail on all the various repairs, and I think this is a good time to introduce the car to everyone. So I'm here in my local Canyon Road, out for a quick drive, and yeah, so here's my car. This is a 1983 Porsche 911 SE. Yeah, I can't do that, sorry. This is my 1983 Porsche 911 SE. About 201,000 miles on the clock, and it's mostly stock. A couple little modifications. Mostly the when I bought it, it had these 17-inch wheels on them, 17 by 7.5 in the front and 17 by 8.5 in the rear. They are Australian ROH wheels. Not super duper crazy about them, but you know, they do fit the car quite well without any kind of, you know, spacers or anything like that. 255 tires in the back. Fronts are, what are they? I can never memorize tire sizes. 225s? Yeah. NT01 rubber. So far this wheel and tire combo has treated me very well. Nice and grippy, does the job. Other modifications to the exterior of the vehicle. Obviously the dual tip stainless steel Dansk exhaust. I think that's how it's pronounced. D-A-N-S-K. Dual tip, sounds pretty nice. Not too loud, not too obnoxious, and definitely not stock either. Otherwise, the exterior is very much stock. I still have the original sugar scoop headlights up front, but they are they have H4 bulbs in them, so I can reach behind the housings and swap out the bulbs to some brighter ones. So I've got some fairly modern lighting in there. Pretty happy with it. As I had mentioned before, the car has 200,000 miles on it, and it's got lots of road rash. You can see, you know, the whole front end is all chipped up. I've grown to like this patina. You know, the car's seen a lot of, the car was used exactly the way it was intended, and I'm very happy that it's led a fruitful life, and now it's enjoying its retirement in my garage. The mirrors also have a ton of patina on them, as well as the front of the rear fenders. But yeah, it came with a turbo wing, so that came from the factory that way, so I decided to keep it. This is actually my favorite wing of all. I swapped out the American spec bumperettes, and I put on these Euro spec ones that are a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter, and kind of clean up the rear end of the car a little bit. And overall, I'm pretty happy with the way the car looks. At first, I was a little unsure about the ride height. It's a tad tall, and the 17-inch wheels make it look a little taller. I don't know if they are the same if the tires are the same outer diameter as the stock ones, but I'm pretty sure the suspension is set at stock height. But you know, it works very well. I don't have to worry about bumps, or I can clear most driveways, especially in the front. I think if at some point I get the chance to rebuild the suspension, I may drop the front just a tad, but otherwise I think the rear is fine the way it is. At one point this car was completely plasti dipped in a kind of a dark gray color, which you can see. Let's see if you can see. You can see right there my front lip still has some of this plasti dip stuff on it, and it is such a pain to remove. Actually, this one's easy because I can come here and pull it, but there are a lot of areas on the car where I can't. It's so thin that it's impossible to pull off. So if you recommend a way to remove plasti dip, very, very thin plasti dip without damaging the surface below it, please leave it in the comments, because I would love to be able to clean up the exterior of the car even more so. Mostly on the rubber. Let's see if I can find you a spot. Here. Here's an example. This is the bare rubber on the mirrors, and you can see this grayish color is plasti dip that is impossible to remove. If I scratch it enough, it'll come off, but yeah, I've got a lot of that mostly around window seals, and I'm not very happy with it because it's difficult to remove. So that's the exterior of the car. Let's take a look at the part that I'm most proud of, the engine. 100% stock configuration CIS motor, and by that I mean all of the little various auxiliary air valves and things, that doodads that make the CIS work the way they do, and that are in there for emissions reasons, are still there. As you all know, I rebuilt the engine, and I wanted to make sure that it just ran reliably and did not give me any issues with smog. So I went ahead and rebuilt it back to stock specs, basically, and it just passed smog with flying colors a couple of months ago. So I'm pretty happy about that. It's been rock solid. Starts up every time, whether it's cold or hot. Haven't really had any other issues with it. It's drama free. It doesn't burn any oil. I couldn't tell you how much it burns. I know that, you know, after about, you know, every 500 miles I'll check the dipstick and it drops a tiny bit, and I'll, you know, put a little bit more oil in there, but it's not very much. I want to say like 1/8 of a quart. I don't know. It's too little of an amount to detect. I don't know if you can see, but I've got the whole back firewall covered in the that DEI gold foil as a nod to my favorite supercar, the McLaren F1, and also because I wanted to reflect all of the heat from the engine so it doesn't go into the cabin, but I wanted to let the sound through so that I can hear as much of the engine noise as possible when I'm driving. And so far it seems to work exactly the way I intended it to. About 500 miles into my ownership, the plastic CIS airbox exploded during a backfire, requiring me to drop the engine to fix that. And then after I dropped the engine, I found a bunch of other problems like a broken head stud, a bunch of oil leaks everywhere. And then just because of that, plus the high mileage, I figured, hey, why not? It's a great time to just go ahead and tear the whole thing apart and make it brand new once again. So I went ahead and rebuilt the entire engine. Some of the things that were done to the engine are I put GT3 rod and crank bearings, mostly as a kind of like a reliability upgrade, as they're higher quality parts than the normal OE replacement ones. The pistons are forged JE units that have deeper valve pockets for more clearance for bigger cams. It's still stock compression. I wasn't sure how high compression was going to affect emissions compliance, so I just kind of left it the way it was, partly out of my inexperience with engine rebuilds, but whatever, it's fine. It runs well. On the top end, we rebuilt the heads, and the heads have 1 millimeter larger intake valves. They are now 50 millimeter valves, stainless steel ones. The cams are 964 cams, and the engine has a little bit more top end. It gets kind of lively after, I want to say, 4,000 RPM. Still has okay bottom end, so you can, drive it in street traffic, stop and go traffic without any issues. I went ahead and had the fan ceramic coated. All my hardware got replated in yellow zinc. As I had mentioned before, every single part of the CIS was rebuilt or replaced. The fuel distributor and the warm-up regulator back here were sent out to a gentleman on the East Coast who is very well known in the Pelican Parts forums for rebuilding these. You can't really tell from here, but the air box, let's check it out. Ouch, hot. My air box is an aluminum one that is an aftermarket version, but functions just like the plastic one. And it's got all the same connections for all the various sensors and things, so all of the original emissions equipment is still in there. This aluminum box, I put a ton of detail into rebuilding it, making sure that the ports on the box matched the ports of the intake runners. I made sure to seal any vacuum leaks from aluminum casting porosity. What else did I do? This box originally came with a aluminum pop-off valve, but that pop-off valve leaked and created a ginormous vacuum leak that was preventing me from tuning it correctly. So I went ahead and grabbed one of the tried and true plastic ones that everyone glues into their plastic airbox, and I made an adapter. I designed and had an adapter machined that bolts into the aluminum box, and the adapter is epoxied to the pop-off valve, so I can remove it and replace it as needed. Additionally, another failure point of these CIS airboxes is that the plastic ones have a bunch of little self-tapping screws in here, and sometimes those little screws will unscrew themselves and they'll get sucked up into the engine, and then they find themselves making little screw prints on the pistons or the heads. So this box had a bunch of bolts all the way around, and I was able to source some aircraft bolts in the same thread that have the holes for safety wiring, and I went ahead and safety wired every single bolt that is in the intake path so that these can no longer come loose and ever get sucked up by the engine. So this aluminum box has already saved me plenty of times. When I was initially tuning the car, tuning the CIS, there was a bunch of backfires, some of them big enough to probably blow a plastic box if that would have been if that's what I would have had installed in here. But yeah, it's been fantastic. One time I had a wiring issue up in my fuse panel where a wire broke that controlled the lambda circuit, which caused the car to lean out and again started backfiring a bunch. And fortunately, because I had the aluminum box with this pop-off relief valve, those backfires did absolutely nothing to hurt the engine. So I see this modification as you know, kind of a reliability upgrade, and I'm pretty happy with the way it's turned out. Another small upgrade that seems to work is this external oil cooler that clamps onto the oil filter. I guess they're called cool collars, and I found this from another Porsche owner. I think it's an original aftermarket cool collar, and because this filter is so huge and has a lot of surface area, it clamps on, it slips over the filter, you clamp it on, and now you've got additional cooling fins that will help you bring the oil temperature down on the very, very hottest of days. And I think it works. I haven't really recorded any test data without the collar and after the collar and hot temperatures to tell you for sure how much of a difference it makes. But I feel like on the very hottest of days, when it's in the 90s, the car used to creep up to the danger zone and it's on the oil temperature gauge when I was driving the car in a spirited fashion going uphill on very hot days, and now it doesn't quite make it up that high on the temperature gauge. So I think it's doing its job, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it so far. Otherwise, there's nothing in here that is not stock. You can see this hose back here is steel braided because I had to have this rebuilt by a third-party hose rebuilder that's local to me, because I could not find the OE replacement one. But I mean, everything else in here is stock. We've got the steel braided spark plug wires with the grounding straps on it. My fan was ceramic coated, so you know, that's kind of important because it's the centerpiece of the engine. Stock distributor still there. New harnesses. I've got a brand new engine harness and lambda harness. That's why the wires still have all these little labels on them, because I need to you know, helps me identify where everything goes. And initially, when I was getting the engine running, it made it very easy for troubleshooting, so I left all the labels there. But yeah, that's about it engine wise. It's been fantastic. I've driven it for a couple of years, 2,000 miles or so, or 1,500 miles, something like that, and it hasn't skipped a beat. The interior is far from stock. It's been it's gone through a lot. Actually, let me swing around the other side so I can show you a little better. The original color of the interior was gray beige, which is basically just kind of a tan, very light tan. The floor mats, I believe, are original. So this carpeting color that you see here and the floor mats, the seats were that same color. Somewhere along the line, I believe maybe in the 90s, someone replaced the original seat leather with this two-tone leather, which I really don't mind. It's not offensive, and it's kind of unique. This medium brown leather with a black stripe in the middle, and you can see the original, the back seats are still there, and it also has the same black stripe in the middle with the tan bolsters and the black seat bottoms. So it's in good shape, and it looks all right. So I don't mind this color of leather. So I'll keep it around. And actually, I forgot to mention, the door panels are the same way too. They've got the same kind of medium brown with the black tops. This side of the door is in decent shape. This door pocket's a little tweaked, as they like to do. The other side, is a bit of a mess. It's got, this door pocket is super tweaked and from rain damage, so it's sort of just floating around here. I ripped out the speaker because it was broken and was just rattling around. Redid this window regulator, if you recall, from one of my prior videos. Now, as far as the driver's cockpit, I've got this Momo steering wheel. I can't remember what model Momo steering wheel it is, but this was a second-hand aftermarket wheel that I bought off another Porsche enthusiast. Did a little bit of stitching repair on here, and I put it on. Again, it sort of just works with the interior until I can get a stock wheel to put back in here. I took out the driver's side floor mat. I didn't want it sliding around, especially with that bottom hinged pedal set. I made that accelerator pedal cover in aluminum, and I put a magnesium spacer behind it so that I can heel toe a little bit better than the stock pedals allow me to. Yeah, that's kind of about it here. The shifter is a rebuilt OE 915 shifter with the OE short shift kit. This is some Momo aftermarket knob that came with the car. I've sort of been lazy and I haven't put in the OE shift knob. I have one laying around. I pulled the radio out because it was in really bad shape, sounded horrible, and the wiring was a disaster, so I just ripped it out and put a blanking plate in there for now. What gauges are, nothing really special going on with the gauges. It's all the OE stuff. My headliner is a disaster, as you can see. Well, there you go. There's a lot of, it's really brittle. There's a lot of little tears and things, but I do have a headliner, so I've got that going for me. My dome lights work. This driver's seat is a Shield that I think is kind of circa late 70s. I'm not an expert on these kinds of seats, but it was kind of a I believe Shield was a competitor to Recaro's in Germany, and I don't know if at some point they went out of business, but I believe the Shield brand has started making seats again, and now they do a lot of very comfortable kind of touring and overlanding seats for 4x4s. But I do like this seat because it I like the big square chunky bolsters. they definitely hold you in extremely well, so that's good. I'm hoping that if I eventually go autocrossing in the car, that you know, they'll do the job. You definitely don't slide around in that seat for sure. Also, it's very, very tight, so I would say the seat reminds you if you start to gain a few pounds, which I have lately. So the seat tells me that I need to watch what I eat. Let's see what we've got going on up front. Hood shocks still work. Pretty sure I replaced these at one point. Nothing really special going on up here. I still have the, I think this is the carpet that the car came with in the trunk. It sort of just looks thrown in here. I guess that's the way they originally came. Nothing too exciting in here. Just a roadside assistance kit. That's a jump pack in case my battery dies. A toolkit that is not original to this car. However, it is a correct kit for this generation of 911. I might do a video later on with all the various tools and stuff in here. I don't wash the car too often because the seals leak, so I just tend to kind of dust it off occasionally. And a spare belt and fuses and relays and things of that nature. So that's about it for down here. Let's fire it up and see what it sounds like. Shake the stick to make sure it's in neutral. Handbrake on. This is a warm start as I've been driving the car already. Let's see what it sounds like. With the way this exhaust sounds. Just enough of a rumble to let you know it's not stock, but not so loud that it pisses off my neighbors. And my neighbors are actually very nice people. And you know, I don't want to piss them off too much. Love this car. Driving it is so much fun. It's reliable. It gets a lot of thumbs up from little kids, which I absolutely love. And yeah, you can hear the CIS working. The Lambda specifically. Once it's fully warmed up, you can hear the CIS scratches, but I don't really care. You know, I'm gonna keep fixing it up. I want it to be mechanically perfect, to have a perfect interior at some point, have the perfect driving experience, but still on the outside look like an old 911 with patina that gets driven. So I think I've been doing an okay job trying to push the car in that direction, and so far it's rewarded me with an awesome driving experience. Let's see, things that I've fixed on this car. Well, where do I begin? If you've been following my blog especially, man, you'll see all the work that I've done to this thing. I started mostly with the engine rebuild and rebuilding the systems that support the engine, the fuel system, and then eventually went through and rebuilt the external oil cooling system, the thermostat that sits in front of the rear wheel here, the oil lines, upgraded the external oil cooler up front to the 28-2 brass one, which I think I can't see, too dark in there, but upgraded that oil cooler with the intention that the car was going to do a lot of stop and go driving and stop and go traffic. So I went with that one instead of the Carrera one, mostly as, you know, a gradual step up, and not having to worry about a fan and wiring and all that stuff. Also upgraded the entire fuel delivery system, replaced all of the fuel lines in the entire car, all of the ones in the engine compartment, the tunnel lines that go through the center tunnel up to the fuel tank, all the ones up front, the fuel pump, the filter at the bottom of the fuel tank. Went through the entire braking system as well, the master cylinder, the soft lines at each corner. I have new calipers up front. I believe the rear ones are still the old ones. So let's see, we did engine, oil cooling, fuel delivery, braking. Oh, the electrical. This car was a electrical nightmare when I bought it. It had a aftermarket alarm system, you know, the ones that talk, that say, stop, you're too close to the vehicle, step back, and, you know, have sirens and all kinds of stuff. That one eventually disabled the car, and I wasn't able to start it, so I ripped it all out. While I was at it, I ripped out the radio, and I'm still having little electrical gremlins here and there, so I've replaced the fuse box. Here, let me show you. Replace the fuse panel with a modern one with the little tiny modern mini blade fuses, and it also includes a couple of relays for the headlights, so everything fits under the OE cover, so it still looks original. And yeah, when I did that, literally everything started working. All the electrical stuff started working better. The power windows went up and down easier. The sunroof ran better. The lights got brighter. The fresh air fan in the dash also started working better. I think you're all familiar with my sunroof repair video series. The sunroof works perfectly. It was a lot of work to get it to operate correctly, as most people end up giving up and sealing it shut, or you know, doing all sorts of other things besides repair. But I decided, nope, I like sunroofs and I want mine to work, so let's just go through the effort to clean it up and make it work correctly. I also did a air conditioning delete, which when I bought the car, the air conditioning system was already not working very well. So, and it was missing the compressor on top of the engine, and all of the air conditioning stuff that goes up front, like that huge fan and whatever the heat exchanger is that sits inside the smuggler's box. That was all corroded and messed up, so I decided to just rip out all of the AC. At some point I would like to install one of those electric AC systems that have come on the market in the last few years, but that's down the line. You know, it's kind of one of those icing on the cake or cherry on top type of things that I'll get to once every other part of the car is working well mechanically. So I think that's about it. Not much else really to show you guys. Future plans include restoring a set of wheels that I have in storage. I have a set of Fuchs and a set of another kind of wheel that I'll reveal later on in a future video. I would like to, as I stated before, rebuild my suspension just so that I have adjustability to you know, tweak it and tune it for, you know, track days or something, or for you know, canyon driving, that kind of thing. What else? Get the interior buttoned up so that it looks beautiful. There is a 912 that John Benton built a few years back. I don't remember what they called it, but this car had unbelievable patina. It had the most messed up, neglected exterior paint that you've ever seen. It just looks like one of those cars that's been sitting out in the desert for decades. But when you walked up to the car and you looked under the wheel wells, everything was perfect. Then you looked around the back and the engine was beautiful and hot rodded. Every single nut and bolt was gorgeous. Then when you looked inside the cabin, the interior was absolutely flawless. But the outside of the car, you know, would not reveal the true intention or the true capability of the car. So that's kind of what I'm shooting for. I'd like the exterior to look just, you know, keep the patina, make it look kind of beat, if you will, a driver's car, but I want it to be mechanically perfect, and that's sort of why the reason why most of my videos go through excruciating detail sometimes on nuts and bolts and making sure that every single little bit is perfect. So yeah, that's kind of my step-by-step approach to getting to the same kind of car as that 912 someday. Oh, I know, I remember. The name of the car was called the Beater from La Mirada or something like that. So search for it on Instagram, maybe on YouTube, I'm not sure, and it'll come up. But yeah, gorgeous car, and this is a kind of a similar execution to that. So that's about it. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this little tour of my little Beater 911, and I hope that you guys are enjoying my repair videos. I'm going to keep putting more out as you as time allows. But yeah, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and share to other friends that you think might enjoy this kind of stuff. And I will catch you guys on the next video. Time for me to go continue my drive on this beautiful day. Bye bye now.